Welcome to the Majesty Speaks podcast. I'm your host, Faith, and I'm excited to have you here. This podcast is all about spirituality, manifestation, personal development, esoteric knowledge, and much more. Now, let's get into today's episode. What's up, guys? I'm back with another episode here on the Majesty Speaks podcast. If you're new here, I'm your host, Faith, and I'm glad you've joined me. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about moving from a religious background to embracing more of a spiritual new age approach. This episode was actually inspired by a close friend of mine. I took a poll with the people around me and asked them what type of content they wanted to see or hear about. And her response was she wanted to, listen or hear or see some videos about me transitioning from being a Christian to identifying as spiritual or just particularly non-religious. So, dear friend, if you are listening, I hope this helps. But before I get started, I know religion in general can be a very touchy topic for a lot of people. So I want to give a disclaimer. My views and opinions are just that, views and opinions. I understand that what I say is not by law or is not law. And my intention is not to persuade anybody on what I believe in or what they should believe in. Like, do what you're led to do. It's your life. Live it how you want to live it. However, I am going to use my freedom of speech and express myself and my experiences and the things that I've been through or I found along the way. So if that offends you, that's not my intention, but it's also not my problem. Now, that's out the way, let's get into the episode. So, when I speak of religion, I'm referring to a particular system of faith and worship. Usually, a specific deity is involved here, but take note, for the most part, my experience is transitioning from Christianity to non religious or spiritual. So, most of the stuff I say is going to be kind of tailored around that. But note that you can also be spiritual and religious. Like, it's not one size fits all. But just generally, the whole episode is about transitioning from a person that was once very religious to now you just not even religious at all. So, in general, this may not be the case for everybody, but the transition from moving from one belief system to another is pretty scary. Let alone many religious groups involve a big community and they gather pretty often. So, as you move to different viewpoints, beliefs, or values, there's basically this grieving process that takes place because you're no longer a part of that for real. So for me, I was learning so many esoteric things, conspiracy type things when it comes to spirituality and religion and just the things I believe in. And is this really adding up for me? And I just began to question, am I still religious? As a former Christian, the even bigger question I was asking myself is, am I going to hell? Am I going to hell for dabbling in like tarot, aka divination, aka witchcraft? Are my crystals gonna send me to hell because I have them? Am I gonna go to hell because I'm burning sage and not throwing holy water? So I was scared. I was scared to just own it, to just be that astrology, zodiac sign asking, chakra chatting, crystal wearing, sage burning, woo woo girl that I really am. On top of that, I went from going to church every week or as much as I could, Bible study, interacting with small groups, to me just hanging out by myself, reading books, binging YouTubes. If you know about the Gaia Network, that's just like a Netflix, but for spiritual stuff. Like I was always on there, but I didn't have too many people around me that were on the same wave. As I grew, I met more people, and I'm sure a lot of, as far as like, going to church every week and small groups and all these things, I'm sure people who are Buddhist or, maybe you practice Hinduism or subscribe to Hinduism, I'm sure temples have similar schedules and involvement as far as the community. But the point is, for a second, I felt kind of lost. Like I already had the people around me, noticing that I'm no longer subscribing to Christianity. And they're questioning my sense of direction, concerned that I'm on the wrong path. And I'm kind of like, well, I'm questioning it too. It was more so like I just, I was trying to figure it out. I knew for a fact though that I no longer aligned with Christianity, but I was still just figuring out what I stood for and what I stand on. And that is okay. The point of this episode is to let you know that if you're in that space right now, that is perfectly okay. Just breathe, just be aware. And the minute that I just finally accepted it, it is what it is, it was much easier. I accepted that I was more drawn to what I had been studying. I still believe in God and a higher source. I just couldn't say that I was a Christian anymore. I enjoy the concepts and rituals from many religions, not just Christianity, but I had to face the facts. I was a free agent at that point. So now I can tell you I basically believe that there's a divine intelligence that runs the universe through love. We're all love. That's where we come from. That's who we are. And of course, you see this in many religious texts and things like that, sacred scrolls. But again, that's it. So I'm not here to convert anyone or persuade anyone on what I believe. I just want to simply acknowledge that the process of changing your spiritual beliefs can be hard and even a little lonely at sometimes, if I'm being honest. So you might feel like you can no longer relate to a lot of people around you, your family, your friends. Honestly, you'll start to feel like the black sheep in some cases. However, there are communities and people around the world, not just where you are, but around the world, who most likely see what you see, feel how you feel. The math isn't mathing for them, or maybe on a different path it is. And they're ready and willing to help you and assist you with your journey. Just reach out for a hand, or first you have to be open to it. First you have to give yourself the grace to even explore and stop judging yourself. That's what I had to stop doing. I had to stop thinking like, girl, you about to be crackling in the pits of hell. Crisp. So the main thing is just to find what nourishes your soul. Become a student of various texts and works, and whatever knowledge really just lights you on fire. So see what works best for you and what progresses you. As I mentioned, I enjoy many concepts and various religions, and I respect them. However, I study and apply the knowledge that moves and guides me, whatever that may be, from whatever background, from whatever culture. I'm open to it all. If it's working for me, if I'm like, "Ooh, I like that," I'll apply that. If that knowledge aligns with my values and my mindset, it's I'm putting that in the toolbox. So I just wanted to come on here and just encourage you. The last thing that I really want to say is remember to respect other people's belief systems and their values. Just because it's not yours doesn't make it any less valuable, doesn't mean that yours is better than someone else's, that they're going to hell and you're not, and they're a bad person, and this, that, and the third. Or focus on what you can control, and that is you. If you're concerned for someone else and the path that they're on, that's okay. You can express that in a healthy, loving way without being judgmental, but it's not your job to police them or project or enforce your values onto them. That's not what that is. That's not your job. That's not what we're here to do. If you are experiencing that from someone else, make sure that you're also enforcing your boundaries and you're letting them know, like, hey, I understand you're concerned, but this is not that. Okay. I'm an adult, and know that you're supported, you're taken care of, and give yourself some space to figure it out. So I hope this video has been very, very helpful and comforting to those who may be experiencing this right now. If you have questions, concerns, you just want to say, hey, you can always connect with me on Instagram at Faith Grace Inspires. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for listening to the Majesty Speaks podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to leave a review and follow for more. Thank you again for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.